Here we are 10 years out from the financial crisis and people still haven't been able to accumulate enough savings, enough wealth to retire. With expenses always rising, it's difficult to be able to keep up when income stays flat. In a recession, pension funds lose ground and do not make it back. 401ks are punished, and more have become aware that they will never be able to retire. Are you prepared? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we are going to look at a very important topic, and we are discussing why Americans are unable to afford their lives. Now, it's not necessarily anything extravagant. We are talking about people who can't keep up with the cost of living. They have found themselves burdened by debt and rising costs, and yet their wages simply can't keep up. If they're on a fixed income, they are in big trouble. So this happens to be the case for a lot of people today. It is a growing majority of individuals, and unfortunately, there are no solutions that will be provided. Let's get into the details right away. Nearly 1/4 of Americans say they never plan to retire, according to a poll that suggests a disconnection between individuals' retirement plans and the realities of aging in the workforce. One factor that I always mention when I talk about this subject is actually mentioned here, and I'm glad they did because they saved me having to mention it on my own. Experts say that illness, injury, layoffs, and caregiving responsibilities often force older workers to leave their jobs sooner than they would like. And that's what people need to understand. It's not always that they want to retire, it's that they are forced to do so for some particular reason, and now they can't keep up with the bills. And this is a growing number of individuals, and unfortunately, it is really hectic. It is troublesome for so many. According to this poll, 23% of workers, including nearly 2 in 10 of those over 50, don't expect to stop working. Roughly another quarter of Americans say they will continue working beyond their 65th birthday. So I want to reiterate what I'm talking about here. If you love what you do and you can do it, then hey, it's great to be able to do so for as long as you possibly can. But there is this large percentage of the population who would love to retire, but they can't afford it. That's when you know you have a problem. According to government data, about 1 in 5 people 65 and older were working or actively looking for a job in June. These numbers here are starting to look a little bit unusual in a historic sense. This website is actually called workinglongerstudy.org, and they had this information directly linked there. And it's important to note this. People have to live in retirement much longer, and they may not have enough assets to support themselves in retirement. How are you going to be able to fund this lifestyle if you simply do not have the income? This is a problem that many are facing today. Retirement elusive for many in the US. Nearly half of US adults say that they are not financially prepared for retirement. Here you can see the chart breakdown just showing you before age 65, at age 65, and so on. The percentage who say they retired or expect to retire at age 65 shows you 19%. School by day, assembly line by night. How teachers in South Carolina make ends meet. This article out of NBC is talking about one particular issue, but it extends on to so many others. Look, you can give them a raise, you can increase their salaries, increase their pay by hour. All of these companies are simply trying to bail out this boat with a thimble. It doesn't work like that. The problem at its core is not going to be resolved in the way that they're trying to achieve it. They are simply putting a bandage over a gunshot wound is not going to fix the problem. For too many people, they don't have savings. And if they do, it's some sort of 401k, it's some sort of pension. They're relying on these financial institutions to be there when they need it. And what we have found with the pensions is that they are underfunded, and in many cases, they have cut from the pensions. If you look at the 401ks, they have also shown struggle unless somebody has their due diligence done and they're actually doing some sort of self-directed IRA. They're taking charge of that retirement account. They're not necessarily putting that in somebody else's hands. That means people have to be more active with what they do in their investing, but the majority of people have no idea what any of this is. Their work gave them something, maybe they just found the banker that suggested to put some money there and they have let it ride. Well, that is okay for some people, but if you are really relying on this money in your retirement, my goodness, you need to pay attention. Right now, we can see a big uptick in revolving credit, and basically that means credit card usage, and people are doing so. Why? Because everything is fantastic, right? I mean, you're going to take on 17% interest because everything is so great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, that's what we're dealing with here. We see that in the news all the time. Student loans, car loans, same situation. Every single month after month, they are increasing, and it never seems to stop. I'm looking at this practically every single day. Some new form of debt, some existing form of debt wrapped up in some derivative is truly getting to a point where I'm surprised it hasn't created more of a catastrophe at this point. I'm truly surprised. But of course, just like the human body, the financial system can be very resilient to all the insanity. And eventually what happens is in the financial system, we have this thing that I like to call the economic detox, and it comes whether you like it or not. While the economy and the job market have boomed in the post-financial crisis period, some of us would disagree to that, Americans living in distressed zip codes, which are increasingly rural, are struggling to find stability. Young people are kind of trapped in debt in distressed communities, and they don't really have a pathway to get out of their situation and be able to afford moving to a prosperous metropolitan area to try and turn the situation around. It's really a catch-22. Well, if you look at some of these major cities, they're a trap in a way because they are so expensive, and I don't believe that the wages are keeping up either. So it depends how you look at it. I mean, what was it? San Francisco, I think, that you can actually be earning $117,000 a year and qualify for money from the government because the housing is so expensive. That's how insane things really are. The least and most distressed zip codes in the United States. Here you can see that real bright reddish type color, pink color. That is where the most distressed is, and that happens to be more towards the south in general. You can see it there in the bottom right, and it just gives you an idea of these particular communities and how they are dealing with everything. I'm going to end the video there. If you found it informative, please hit that like button. When you hit the like button, you are supporting me. If you found this video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. You can actually flip through these books. All you have to do is go to the link in the description. It's going to give you the look inside feature. You'll be able to flip through the books for yourself if you want the audiobook. That's available at themoneygps.com. More criticism than ever on this channel, and I'm prepared to deal with it. I expected this. We're looking at the stock market now rocketing to record highs. I have tried to explain over and over and over again what this channel is. It is simply a collection of data that you do not find in the mainstream mentality. Even though I'm grabbing mainstream articles in many cases, this is the mainstream mentality, the Jim Cramer buy, and never looking at the risks. Somebody has to be there to balance that all out. So that's what I'm trying to do here on this channel, simply to show you and highlight what others are not. That's it. That's all I'm saying. If you want to find out what's happening in the economy, then definitely watch this video. Click on it and I will see you there.